Sudhir sir, shall we start, sir? Hello. What, sir? Hello.
Ma'am, is it my voice is clear?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's clear, sir. Shall we start, sir?
Yeah. Sure, ma'am. Please.
A warm morning to all the participants, guests, and research scholars. Myself, Dr. V. Lakshmi Devi, Professor in EEE Department, welcome you all for our AICTE-sponsored STTP Phase 3, Research Trends in Renewable Photovoltaic Systems and its Research Challenges. We feel much privileged to have your continuous support for successful running of our STTP earlier, expecting the same for this Phase 3 also. I request Sri Deepthi to open the inaugural session. Sri Deepthi?
Yes, ma'am. A blissful morning to the respected dignitaries and faculty members. Myself, Sridipti, pursuing third year from the Department of EEE from SV Colleges. Welcome to the short-term training program on research trends in renewable photovoltaic system and its research challenges. Prayer. Prayer is an action. It is the process of talking with God with energy in order to achieve a purpose. So let's begin this webinar by seeking the blessing of Lord Almighty with a prayer song. Basara Saraswati Bangaru Bomma Dosili Okkiti Midi Vinchavamma Basara Saraswati Bangaru Bomma దోసిలి ఒక్కితిమి దీవించవమ్మ శరణు 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 శ్రీ సరస్వతి శరణు 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 జ్ఞాన సరస్వతి శరణు నిసరి మరి సరి మపని పమ పని సరి మరి సని సా నిసరి నిసా మపని మపరి మపని పమరి సని రిసా బాసర సరస్వతి బంగారు బొమ్మ Thank you. Now I request everyone to please mute your microphone and turn off your video. I take the pleasure of inviting our dynamic, hardworking, and a supportive true leader, Dr. N. Sudhakar Reddy sir, Principal of SVCE. Now, I take the pleasure of inviting our man of distinction and a fountainhead of illuminating ideas, Dr. K. Sudhi sir, HOD of Triple Department. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Deepthi. Thank you, Lakshmi ma'am. Once again, I'll give you a warm welcome to our Phase 3 STTP sponsored by AICT, New Delhi. So, first of all, I'd like to convey thanks for all the participants on behalf of Principal Sir. Sir is actually a little bit busy. So, Sir is going to grace us at the valedictory session. Thank you for attending the previous sessions also, and newly upcoming enthusiastic researchers and faculty. So these are the words delivered by Principal Sir to me personally, and I'm conveying the same thing. So coming to my part, so we successfully completed 2 phases, that is each 6 days on this particular STTP. So this is the 3rd phase, as we promised from the beginning. So we are going to cover all the renewable source, that is photovoltaic as the basic, and remaining renewable integrations also to the to your knowledge upgradation. So this specific 3rd phase STTP will focus on microgrids, smart grids challenges, along with photovoltaic integration and wind integration. So surely you are going to, this 3rd phase STTP will add up some additional knowledge to your knowledge database, whatever you have with you. So please maintain the continuity, and surely you will gain some additional knowledge from this 3rd phase STTP. So if you have any difficulties during the 6 phases, so you can contact our coordinator and our team. So they will be ready to help you at any time. So thanks once again. Thanks for all the participants who are supporting from the phase 1 to this particular phase 3. So please enjoy and learn the acquire the new additional knowledge through this phase 3 STTP. Thank you, Deepthi. Please.
Thank you, sir. Now, I consider it a great honor to speak about our chief guest, Dr. Pratap Neni Dimple Raja Garu. He is currently working as a postdoctoral researcher at IIT Hyderabad. He received bachelor degree in electrical and electronics engineering from Sri Vijayaniketan Engineering College, Tirupati in 2013. His master's degree from IIT Hyderabad in 2015. He also completed his PhD from IIT Hyderabad in 2020. His PhD work is related to microgrid planning and scheduling. His research interests are demand-side management, AI and ML applications for power systems, microgrids, and energy markets. Sir has published many international journals and attended many international conferences. Welcome, sir. Now, I would like to hand over this session to Dr. Pratap Neni Dimple Raja Garu.
Thank you, Deepthi.
So shall we start, sir? Raja, sir?
Yes, madam. 1 minute. I think is the screen is visible?
Yes, sir. It's visible, sir. So with your permission, I just want to pass certain instructions to the participants, just for a minute, sir.
Okay.
So kindly participants, turn off your microphones and videos. Please try to attend all the sessions without fail. And every day for every session, we are going to share certain feedback links. So please fill in these feedback links. And the feedback links will be passed at the last 15 minutes of the session. So certificates will be issued only to the registered and feedback submitted participants only. Kindly turn off your microphones and videos. Certificates will be mailed to your registered mail IDs within 2 days after the last day of our phase 3. So if any queries are raised in between the session, you can post those queries in the chat box. So kindly cooperate. Please turn off your videos and microphones. You can ask the resource person your queries at the last of the session, in the query session. If you are getting any queries in between, please post them in the chat box. And we are also sharing the YouTube link. You can share the link also. So thank you, sir. You can start off the session, sir. Thank you for.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, all. My presentation topic is optimal planning and scheduling of microgrid. So these are the contents of the presentation: introduction about the microgrid and what is sizing and what is scheduling. Then we will go back sizing aspects. Sizing and planning are like interchanging terms here. So then we go with the discussion about unit commitment with demand side management. Then we are going to I am going to present an integrated microgrid sizing framework, state-of-the-art sizing framework. Then there's a new topic called coordinate sizing of generators and load equipment for industrial process. First introduction. Microgrid. As we all know, a microgrid is an interconnection of different energy sources, storage devices, and loads. So what do we mean by microgrid sizing or planning means? Determining optimal component ratings. We have different generators, for example, wind, solar, conventional generators like diesel generators, thermal plants, and then storage devices. And we have different types of loads: residential load, industrial loads, commercial loads. All this together, we will have a microgrid. So how to design this microgrid? What are the size of the different generators we need to select? So how to select that? So first we need to minimize the cost, and we should have the best reliability. So why do we need a sizing, microgrid sizing? If we don't select our sizes properly, generator sizes properly, so one of the, few of these things we may incur large investment. For example, if you are going to install a microgrid, a 100 watts, 100 kilowatt PV and 500 kV, 500 kilowatt battery. So that may lead to the and if it is can be satisfied by a 150 kilowatt generator PV panel and a 100 kilowatt battery, so that may lead to large investment. Sometimes components may be forced to in stressful conditions. For example, if you have a battery, the number of cycles charging and discharging is too high, then it will rapidly degrade. That causes frequent replacements. That will also incur large investments. And then a high operational cost. If we don't select our generators properly, it can cause usage of high fuel generators too rapidly, too frequent times. So the next thing is reliability issues. So inadequate sizing of generators may cause frequent power outages. For example, if you don't size your battery for the PV panel properly, so even though you have excess generation at a different time, you may have to curtail some load at different times. So, and if we use large renewable generators, you have to waste excess power into the sink. Low efficiency. If you don't size our generators properly, the efficiency of the system may reduce. High emissions. Frequent use of conventional generators causes pollutions, and it incurs penalties from the government. So these are the factors that are going to affect the microgrid sizing. The location-wise, so for example, the availability of renewable resources changes with location. For example, we have at Hyderabad, we will have good solar energy, but we don't find any wind energy. So likewise, in a coastal city, for example, Chennai, we will find adequate tidal energy, solar energy, and wind energy. So locations will also have good effect on the microgrid size of the components. Load profile. The load profile will also have significant impact on the microgrid cost. For example, if there's a peak load occurs when there's very low renewable energy availability, that can lead to high storage, which will increase your cost of the microgrid. Environment and reliability standards. The limits on pollution emissions and penalties for poor power quality also dictates. So this is a form of a general sizing algorithm. First, we need to determine what are the renewable generators potential available at that site during different time segments. Like we will collect some data. Then we need to estimate the load data at different time segments. Then what we have different type of conventional generators. For that, we need economic and technical parameters. And then we need to give what are the environment and reliability policies in that area based upon the government. So then we need to formulate a sizing problem. By solving the sizing problem, we will determine the component sizes. So these are the important aspects of the sizing. So while we design a sizing algorithm, all these things we should take care. We need to take an optimal generate power dispatch strategy or the optimal generators unit commitment. Then we need to implement a demand side management technique so that we can further reduce our costs. So also generators will, based upon the usage, the generators will degrade. Those effects should also be included. So uncertainty due to renewable energy generation and load should be taken care. Then there is a new way of sizing called coordinate sizing of generators and industrial plant. With the penetration of renewable generators, the time of occurrence of the energy is dependent on time, so that we can coordinately size and generators and industrial plants so that we reduce costs. So at first, power dispatch strategies. Power dispatch strategies means the load balancing equation should be always satisfied. So there are basically power dispatch strategies can be classified into unit commitment based and rule based. So again, rule based can be classified into cycle charge and load follower. So the load follower and cycle charge techniques are the basic techniques. As we know, for example, renewable energy is high, and then whatever the load is required, store it into the batteries. That is the rule. These are rule-based techniques. And if it is access to the maximum power with which the battery can be charged, then waste into the sink. These are the rules, the rule-based methods. So in those rule-based methods, we have cycle charge and load follower. The generators and storage devices. So in the load follower, so whatever the power dispatched by the generators, it is dispatched such that it is enough to mitigate the load. So in the power output from the conventional generators like diesel generator or any conventional generator is never used to charge the batteries or any storage devices. And renewable energy access to the load is used to charge the storage systems. So this is the load follower. So the main difference between load follower and cycle charge is conventional generators is never used to charge the storage devices in load follower. In cycle charge, so whenever you turn on a conventional generator, for example, if you have to use a conventional generator like diesel generator to satisfy load, it will always be operated at full capacity as long as the storage device is fully charged. So the main difference between load follower and cycle charge is load follower, whenever you use a conventional generators, whatever the required by the load, that amount only we will take in the load follower strategy. But in cycle charge strategy, whenever conventional generator is operated, it is operated at the full capacity so that you can charge your batteries also. And then unit commitment. So unit commitment is a mathematical programming but optimization based. So what is meant by mathematical programming optimization based is, here we will have an objective function and set of constraints. We have to solve that problem using optimization techniques. So the objectives will be minimum operational cost and emissions. There will be many objectives, reliability issues. So this unit commitment has several advantages over power dispatch strategies. So handling uncertainties. So definitely with the penetration of renewable energy, we had a lot of uncertainties. We can't predict the exact amount of solar energy we can get at a given time. So in uncertain handling techniques, mostly for sizing, they use Monte Carlo simulations and chance constraint programming. So in Monte Carlo simulations means we will have some model and we solve that model with different random data. For example, you have 10 random data sets. With that data sets, we will solve the problem. With each time, we will take one data and we will solve the problem. So like that, we solve the problem 10 times. And then this solution obtained is analyzed. And when, for example, they will take the mean or a median, something like that. And whatever the solution that seems to be satisfied, they will select that. But in chance constraint programming, it is a bit of a optimization based. So we have this randomness. We have random data. We will have scenarios. For example, we have 10 scenarios. So they'll form 10 constraints for each scenario. And these constraints, at few places, it can be relaxed. That is, we are taking a chance to relax those constraints at few places. That is the chance constraint programming. So the number of constraints is definitely should be limited by giving chance constraint probability. So here, the main difference between Monte Carlo simulations and chance constraint programming is in Monte Carlo simulations, with each scenario, we'll solve the problem at each time. But in chance constraint programming, we take all the scenarios at a time and we create a definite model, deterministic model, then we exempt few constraints here. There are other methods for handling uncertainties, scenario optimization, interval optimization, robust optimization. But in microgrid sizing or planning, Monte Carlo simulations and chance constraint programming are the methods mostly used. So first, demand side management. The demand side management programs encourage the customers to modify the load as beneficial to the utility. For example, we have renewable generators. It occurs solar energy. It occurs mostly in the daytimes. So if you encourage a customer to move your load from night time to the daytime, so that way you can reduce the battery size. That is one thing. So traditionally, they used to use load shifting demand side management. So it is to reduce the peaks and fill the valleys. Load curve can be flatted with a load shifting DSM, but it doesn't consider the renewable energy available at a particular time and conventional generators output fuel consumption patterns. So first thing, what the important thing is, whenever there is a component, it will degrade with time and usage. So for example, battery is the one that relatively degrade very quickly and need to be replaced multiple times. If we don't use battery properly, then it may go on for 1 year, even with which has given us 4 years lifetime. This also affect the microgrid cost. An accurate component lifetime model and capacity degradation must be included in the sizing. So I will briefly tell you what are the things we need to consider while designing a microgrid or planning a microgrid or sizing a microgrid. First thing, we have to implement the optimal power dispatch strategy. So whichever reduces the microgrid operational cost. The second important thing is we need to take care of the uncertainties. Then if it is possible to implement demand side management into the sizing algorithm, that way you can reduce your component sizes also. The fourth important thing is we have to include components lifetime and capacity degradation. The first part of we will discuss about a unit commitment which contains demand side management. So conventional unit commitment power dispatch has several advantages over other. As I discussed, unit commitment is better than the rule-based methods, but it cannot schedule dynamic loads. So first, previously what they used to do, a load shifting demand side management, it will be used to schedule the dynamic loads on load distribution. Then the UC problem will be solved for scheduling the generator based on the modified load profile. First, what they will do, they will schedule the dynamic loads. Then they will solve the UC problem to schedule the generators. So this is the traditional way of going. So, but what happens here is the availability of different renewable generators at a given time is not considered. So that should also be considered into while scheduling the dynamic loads. So we are going to discuss about an unit commitment with demand side management. So which is a direct load control demand side management is implemented here in the presentation. So it coordinately schedules both generators and dynamic loads. So this is the objective function of the unit commitment with demand side management. So first of all, what the objective is to reduce total cost. What are the costs? We have the conventional generators. We have to reduce the cost, and we will have for conventional generator there will be a startup cost. So for example, we have some steam coal-based plants. They used to take 3-4 hours to start up, and we need to burn lot of coal to initially rise the temperature from the normal room temperature to the 100 degrees Celsius to make into steam. That way, we will take it to start a generator. It takes some cost, and also we will have if there is any curtailment of load, there will be penalty for curtailment, which is proportionate to the power. And if you waste extra renewable energy, that will also we have a dumping penalty. And if you are going to purchase some power from the grid, there will be also some cost. These are the costs of the microgrid. So here UI of D, H is the generator status, which is it is a binary variable representing it is turned on or off. So one of the most important equation of the power balance is in the power systems is power balancing. So which is the first we will consider on the inverter DC side. On the inverter DC side, whatever the power output from the renewable generators and power discharged from the batteries and the power charged to the batteries and power wasted into the sink must be equals to the power input to the inverter. So on the see why we have this, we may see in the same equation we have discharge and charge, but it happens that only one thing can happen, that we will ensure with some other constraints. So on the load side, the total power generated must be equal to the load and losses. For example, the power output from the conventional generators, if you have CG number of conventional generators, the total power plus whatever the load is curtailed, and then power output from the inverter must be equal to the total load and losses and the dynamic loads. Then, so whatever the dynamic loads we have, for example, we have electrical vehicles, that is also we should consider. So whatever these two are the dynamic loads. So SDL of D, H is a switch. It is a binary variable. It is either 1 or 0. When it is 1, it means it is charging, it is satisfying the dynamic load at that time. So STD of DL is, it is a status of the dynamic load. When you can charge that dynamic load at that time or not. Then we have electrical vehicles. So for electrical vehicles, there is no fixed thing that we have to charge with this much power only. That way PEV is a variable and status is also a binary parameter. So it is 1 when it can be charged, electrical vehicle. So these are the demand side management equations. So the total power required by the dynamic load must be satisfied overall in a given time. So when we can turn on is limited by this parameter. It is a binary parameter. It takes only 1 and zeros. And also electrical vehicles must be charged in the given time. So these two equations incorporates the demand side management into the unit commitment problem. So we considered a case study so now we have discussed about what are the demand unit commitment with demand side management. This is the objective. And this is the one of the important constraint, power balance. And this is also AC side power balance. And these are the demand side management equations. And we need to solve the whole problem in a single step. So this is the microgrid considered for the case study. We considered a PV panel, wind turbines, and a battery storage system. So on the conventional generator, we have a diesel generator. And we have considered an electric vehicle load, a dynamic load, pumped water storage, and a normal load. We state it as static load. So So first we know about the generators. Power output from the conventional generator, diesel generator can be represented as follows. So this is the cost of the fuel and these are the parameters. PD is the power output from the diesel generator and NDG is the size of the diesel generator. We consider it like linear equation. It can be polynomial equation also. But for medium sized generators, we can go with the linear approximation. And generally the lifetime of the diesel generator is specified as number of operating hours. And a total number of operating hours in a day, we have to calculate by this equation. It is just simply number of times it's turned on. And then battery storage system. So the state of charge in the battery storage system at next hour is equals to state of the charge in the battery at the present hour and what is the amount of battery charged with, net amount. So similarly, these equations for valid for 23 hours only, but for the next day, first hour. So why we consider as day and hour is, so with this way, it is easy to implement dynamic loads into, incorporate dynamic loads into the formulation. State of charge at final hour and final day can be represented with this equation. It is just simply the net charge at the associated at time t and net charge into the battery at time t. And also at the final, this is also similar to the previous equations. But one more thing is which is important. The SOC should be always within the limits, minimum and maximum limits. So, and we need to know, as we discussed, we have to know how the BSS lifetime will be, and we have to know how it will degrade. So the capacity of the battery storage system will decreases with charging and discharging cycles. So what we traditionally consider is whenever the battery storage system reaches 80% of the rated capacity, then the battery storage system is considered to be dead. So what we can do is we implemented a throughput model for battery degradation and the lifetime. So the throughput model considers that the BSS degradation depends upon the amount of energy cycled into it. So this is the throughput. So the total amount of energy cycled to it. So total power charged and discharged. And the BSS degradation can be considered as follows. So the size of the capacity of the BSS at a day dt equals to the initial capacity and the degraded amount corresponding to the throughput. So with this model, we consider a case study. So the case study considers a residential load in Chennai city. The dynamic grid price and static load data are given here. So this is a total load amount, transmission losses are 1% of the static load. So this is the grid price and this is the load we consider. So dynamic loads. So two dynamic loads are considered. So first dynamic loads, at each time it requires 10 kilowatt and the total power required is 50 kilowatt hour. So the second dynamic load is 7 kilowatt and the total energy required is 21 kilowatt hour. And this is the dynamic loads operable time. It means from 1 to 10 o'clock morning only we can turn on the dynamic load 1. And the dynamic load 2 can be turned on between morning 10 to 17 p.m. evening 5, I think. Yeah. So electrical vehicles. So for an electrical vehicle, there will be battery. So the capacity will be considered as 50 kilowatt hour. And at a time, you can maximum charge with 12.5 kilowatt. The operable time of EV is shown below. So it means from night 10 to morning 7 only we can operate our EV. That is the time mostly the residents will come home and the vehicles will be at rest. So this is the time we consider to charge the electrical vehicle. These are the other parameters, the size of the PV panels, wind turbines, and all those things we consider. And then this is the case studies, the power output from the PV panel and wind turbines. This is the expected power output. This is not true. I mean, expected, whatever we can get. So these are the scenarios considered. Islanded microgrid. So the in islanded microgrid, grid is not required. So what we consider is PV panels, wind turbines, battery storage systems, and a diesel generator. So for grid connected case, we have two methods. One is flat pricing. It means the price will be constant at any time, and grid connected with dynamic pricing. With dynamic pricing, uh, the price of the grid power changes with the time. So for solving for all the scenarios for solving, we used Cplex solver. Cplex is an solver is developed by IBM. It is very efficient for MILP, mixed integer linear programming methods. And these were the results. So for the islanded case, so the total cost is considered to be $252. This is the average cost. So from the graph, it can be observed that most of the power output from renewable generators, PV, wind turbine, it is sent to the inverter. So, and whenever there is excess renewable energy, so which is crossing this line, that is stored into the batteries. That way, this is the islanded scenario. And if we consider the load side interactions, this is the load side interactions. So as we consider, this dotted line is the actual load, static load, and then the modified load due to dynamic loads. Addition of dynamic loads is given with solid line. And also from the plot 2, we can say observe in the given time period only, we will get the dynamic loads are operated. So from the plots, it can observe that at first, the renewable generator's power output is preferred to satisfy the load. The partial capacity operated of DG is avoided by operating at maximum capacity. Partial operation is avoided. So partial operation is not economical in diesel generators. So under dynamic loads and EV loads are satisfied whenever the renewable energy is high. Or diesel generators can be operational cost can be reduced. The diesel operational cost can be reduced when it is operated at the rated capacity. So by adding the dynamic loads at here, it operated the rated capacity. So with the grid connected flat tariff. So with the grid connected flat tariff, the cost is considered to be $181.98 and the average is 0.094. It is less than the islanded case because the grid power is normally less than the cost of grid power is normally less than the diesel generator. And also, as we can observe, the number of times the power extract from the grid is higher than the diesel generator in the, when compared to islanded scenario. It is because there is no limit such that if it is operated at the rated, if we take rated grid power, then only the operational cost will be low. So, but it is there for diesel generators. The dynamic price, this is the total estimated cost, this is the average cost. For the same load, total operational cost is the least in this scenario. So as we can see, we have to compare with the grid prices. Whenever the grid price is low and renewable energy is available, at that time only the dynamic loads are satisfied. So, so far a unit commitment model incorporated with demand side management is presented, and the algorithm minimize operational cost by determining optimal power dispatch and the dynamic load adjustment coordinatively. The algorithm determine the minimum operational cost in all the scenarios by optimally managing the generator's power dispatch and dynamic loads. With the dynamic pricing, consumers also can be benefited. So then we go with the next contribution, integrated microgrid sizing framework. So we discussed the important aspects at the starting of our presentation, what we need to consider while designing a microgrid. So first thing is optimal power dispatch and dynamic loads should be considered. And by incorporating the discussion what we have done, you see unit commitment with demand side management, these two things can be incorporated. And a chance constraint programming is considered to include the unit commitment model to handle the uncertainties. this way, and also we provided a framework for systematic approach for incorporating any microgrid component degradation and lifetime characteristics. Okay, this is the first we need to cost analysis. First we have to go sizing algorithms. We have to determine the sizes. We have to minimize the total cost of the system. The total cost of the system comprises of operational cost, capital cost, and maintenance cost. First, we are going to discuss about total installation cost. So the total installation cost is proportional to the size of the generator and cost of the initial cost of the generator. Then we will have this degradation factor. For example, if we consider a generator at this time it is 10,000 rupees. After 5 years also it is 10,000 rupees. But the value of money is different from the today to after 5 years. That factor we have to consider. That we can consider with present value function. And RG is the total number of replacements. So this is the initial installation and all replacement cost. And also we have to calculate the scrap value. For example, if the microgrid lifetime is 25 years, but the generator lifetime may be 28 years, so it may exceed after replacements. That also we have to consider scrap value. So this is the total microgrid installation cost for the system we consider. If we have CG number of conventional generators, we have to consider for installation for all the generators. And if we have RG number of renewable generators, we have to consider cost for all the generators. And if we have a battery storage system, for that also we need to consider total installation cost. And then total maintenance cost. Total maintenance cost will be calculated yearly, and the generators has to be regularly maintained for good performance. So the total maintenance cost over the year is proportional to the size of the generators. So the total cost of the generators over the microgrid lifetime is a sum of yearly maintenance cost into present value of that of the maintenance cost. So the total maintenance cost of the generators is sum of all the conventional generators maintenance cost, renewable generators maintenance cost, and battery storage systems. So total operational cost. So solving any UC problem will provide an estimated operational cost, battery storage, power interactions, and a diesel generator operational hours. By solving a UC problem, we can get this information. With the incorporation of chance constraint programming. Chance constraint programming is an uncertain handling method in which a chance will be taken so that we can exempt the constraints at few time instants. So this is the chance constraint programming. This is the normal power balance equation, but we will introduce a factor chance constraint. This is the power that can be exempted with chance constraint programming. And MD comma H is the variable. It is a binary variable. It is 1. So when we are going to exempt a constraint with the chance, by taking a chance. So and also as we know DC and AC, we have taken two different equations that are interconnected with the inverter power. So by that way, so applying the chance constraint programming on the AC side of the power balance is enough to take care of uncertainties in both renewable generators and load. So we have seen in this power balance when at few instants we can exempt this equation. So the total, but we have to limit the number of times that we can exempt. Otherwise, our total system will be violated, and the system may show it is cost is less, but that may not be feasible when we into operation. We have to look at reliability also. So the total number of instants by which chance constraint programming can be applied is can be calculated as follows. It is just sum of the number of times it has been operated, and pi of d comma h if you have priority for some constraints. For example, so you have to be, there should be always power during weekdays. That also we can give priority by this priority values. And some of the priority values must be of all equals to 1. So, but we consider that all the priority factors should be equal. The number of times the chance constant can be relaxed is limited by chance constant probability. So, for example, you have 100 constants. If you give like a 0.2, so you can exempt 20 constants, but doesn't mean it will always exempt. But at max, we can exempt 20 constants. Total microgrid cost. So we have discussed about operational maintenance cost and installation cost. Now we will discuss about operational cost. The operation yearly average application is sum of. So what we considered is every month we will solve the problem and we will estimate the operational cost. So by summing them, we will get yearly operational cost. First of all, what is the sizing problem? Sizing problem is to minimize the total microgrid lifetime cost. For example, we have like 25 years, we have a microgrid lifetime. So we have to reduce this microgrid lifetime cost. So in, for example, we have in microgrid lifetime cost means it is sum of total installation cost, maintenance cost, and total operation cost of the microgrid. And this microgrid comprises of many conventional generators, many renewable generators, and a battery storage system. And what we need to determine here is primary variables. The primary variables are determine the size of the generators. This generators has to be determined. And the secondary variables are whatever the power output from the generators by satisfying the power balance, that are the secondary variables. So the main important goal is determine the size of the generators by minimizing this equation. And whatever the size of the generators which we want to size in a given place, it is limited by space availability, some other constraints. The overall sizing problem is minimizing the above objective function subject to the operational and maximum size constraints. I have given operational constraints in unit commitment with demand side management. So as we observe, we have a lot of constraints and then constraints which is difficult to solve in a single stage. It is very difficult to solve such problems in a single stage. Hence, it is divided into a leader follower problem. So leader follower means we will the leader will give some variables to the follower, and follower based upon those variable data, the follower will solve and again send the data to the leader. The follower is an MILP unit commitment problem we considered, and the leader problem is selecting the optimal size of generators. With this bi-level algorithm, the total the simplified sizing problem is this. First, we will minimize the operational cost of the microgrid. Then we will minimize the total system cost. That is sum of maintenance, installation, and operational cost. So this is the equation number 25 is a single stage objective function. Then we will subdivide it into a bi-level sizing algorithm, which is minimization of total operational cost and overall minimization of total system cost. So the problem here is it is an MINLP problem. The overall problem is an MINLP. This equation 25 is an MINLP, mixed integer nonlinear programming. So there will be nonlinear terms. It is very difficult to solve in a single stage. That's why we have to go with bi-level algorithms. This is the general form of an leader follower problem. So first we need to know. So this is whatever we have done can be combined into this algorithm. So even we couldn't follow the previous slides. So I can explain this clearly here. A basic sizing algorithm, first we need to determine conventional generators data. What is the conventional generators data? We have to know what is the cost of the fuel and its generation characteristics, the amount of fuel consumed at different power levels, and then renewable energy data. So for example, if we consider solar, wind, and tidal, what is the amount of energy available at different time instants? That data we need to know. And battery storage system data also, number of cycles, charging and discharging cycles. Those data also we should consider. So first we should acquire all this data. So what we considered is an accelerated particle swarm optimization technique for leader problem. So if this is an accelerated particle swarm optimization is an genetic meta-heuristic algorithm technique, so which runs based upon the iterations. So as for iteration progress, the solution will improve. So this is the leader problem. So first we have 100 samples, 100 samples of different data. For example, combination of generators. So what we considered here is PV panels, conventional generator, and a battery storage system. This is the basic thing we considered. So initialized APS of particles means we will consider 100 different data. For example, if I have 100 PV panel, 200 BSS, and 100 DG, like that we have 100 different sizes of this data combinations. So and then with each data, I will solve my unit commitment problem for a week and for a month. So for, in a month. So why I am doing this is for a week. It is for a week itself with that many equations, there will be like 1,000 variables. If I solve it for a whole month, it will be like 30,000 variables, which is very difficult to arrive at a solution. Even that solution progress also, it may not be optimal. So first we have to solve for a week, in a month. So by solving UC problem, what we will know? So the UC problem itself is for determining power dispatch. What is the power output from different generators at a given time? So we can calculate a throughput. So from that data, we can calculate how many times the battery is charged and discharged. That data we can acquire, but also we can acquire microgrid operational cost. So operational cost of the microgrid and number of times a conventional generator is turned on. This three data we will take from by solving UC problem. And then we need to check whether throughput, the total amount of charging and discharging cycles is greater than the battery lifetime. That we have to check. So if it is greater than the lifetime, then we have to reset the battery. Otherwise, we have to update the capacity. So capacity, as we discussed, the capacity of the battery decreases at each time instant whenever there is a charging and discharging cycle. So after we have to, that data we are going to update every month. So then also we need to check whether the generator has to be replaced or not. So it can be known at a month number of till that month number of times the generator has been operated. So if it is okay, it is lifetime is less than, then go for next time step next month and solve the UC problem. Otherwise, we have to replace the generators. That way, we incorporated the lifetime of the battery and the lifetime of the generator into the equations. So likewise, we solve the problem for each week in different months. So and then by solving, so for all the years we will solve in this iteration manner. Then we can determine the total microgrid installation cost, maintenance cost, and operational cost. So by summing them, we will know the total microgrid lifetime cost. So for all the particles we need to solve. So I had taken initially like 100 particles. For all those particles, I need to solve the solution. Then I will progress to the next iteration. There is like this meta-heuristic algorithms, what they will do based upon the best position known and current position, they will update the data. So they will move the particles in the swarm. They will move the particles and again the same thing will happen. So with the updated data, now we have 100 different data which is updated. So same thing, the process will be repeated until the number of iterations are less than the total number of iterations. At the final iteration, what is the particles with the least microgrid lifetime cost is the optimal configuration of the system. This is the leader follow sizing algorithm which we considered. So we consider a case study, a residential load in Hyderabad city. So there are different types of load, lighting load, induction load, electric equipment are the major components of the static load. The case study we consider is PV panels, diesel generator, and battery storage system. The microgrid lifetime we consider is 25 years. So these are the specifications, the cost of the PV panels, installation cost, lifetime cost, maintenance cost, load lifetime, etc. The different parameters. So I'm just skipping these parameters because they may not be useful. This pumped water storage devices. So in a pumped water storage, it can be operated between morning 7 to afternoon 15. That is, in this time only we can operate, and it requires 5 kilowatt hour at a given time instant. The total power required is 20 kilowatt hour. The other load we consider is EV load. So 50 kilowatt hour, and between night 10 to morning 7 only it can be operated, and it can charge with 12.5 kilowatt hour. So as we said, the important things are like implementing demand side management is one of the important thing. Then we are implemented a chance constraint programming so that for handling the uncertainties. We also considered sizing of the microgrid with and without accounting the basis capacity degradation. Then we compared this method with a load shifting demand side management. So, and the final thing is, the most important thing is, so whatever we had done with this historical data, but is it going to work with the real data? That also we verified. So everything is formulated in the MATLAB, and it is integrated as GAMS optimization environment. So GAMS is an optimization toolbox software where we will find all the solvers. And the solver used here is Lindo Global Solver. So these are the results we have got. So without DSM, with the demand side management, with demand side management, this is the cost without demand side management, with the demand side management, with the by increasing with chance constraint programming. So as we can observe, with the demand side management, cost is reduced, and with the demand side management and 2% chance constraint programming, further with the increase in chance constraint programming also, microgrid lifetime cost is decreasing. But we should not increase, we cannot exempt too much percentage of chance constraint programming. This because as we increase further, there may be in real time a lot of unsatisfied load. That is not good for reliability. And what we can observe is, these are the size of the generators. With the demand side management, the size of the generators reduced. Here, the total cost is also reduced. So by implementing the demand side management into the sizing algorithm, the total lifetime cost of the microgrid can be reduced by 3%. This is one of the findings. And then these are the power balance equations. As we can observe, whenever the renewable energy is high, it is mostly delivered to the load side. And smaller base is enough with the demand side management. So with the DSM, as we can observe, the size of the battery is very low, so that whenever there is load, you can shift whenever PV panels power is high. So sink power wasted into sink is here. We can see at a few instance power wasted into the sink, few high instance. Here that is less by implementing demand side management with the microgrid sizing problem. So, on the inverter AC side, so what we can observe is most of the power from PV panels is delivered to the load. And also we observed before, BSS requirement is reduced. By managing the dynamic loads, the diesel generators are operated almost at a, so here we can observe few hiccups here, but it is almost operated at the rated capacity by adjusting the dynamic loads. The load curtailment is also reduced here. So as we can see with the DSM, there is a load curtailment. Here there is no load curtailment. With the DSM, there is no load curtailment. So these are the size with by implementing different chance constraint programming. As we improve the chance, increase the chance constraint programming, the size of the batteries device is largely decreasing, and even PV panels is also reducing. These are the observations can be made. So by increasing chance constraint uh, probability percentages, the MLC values decreases. By increasing much more high, further decreasing. So if you want to plan to reduce your initial investment, so it is better to reduce your battery size. That was one of the findings. And it is not wise, as we can observe, there is not much change in the diesel generators. So it is wise not to alter our DG size if you're going to reduce your initial investment. So first we are going to consider why we need to consider battery degradation into the sizing algorithm. This is with and without battery degradation, with both BSS and battery degradation. So in the sizing algorithm, first what we had done is without considering battery degradation in the sizing algorithm, we simulated, then we considered the battery degradation. So without, these are the findings with the considering demand side management and battery storage systems degradation. This is the size of the generators we got. Then by without considering basin, these are the generators we got into the sizing algorithm. So these are the estimated operational cost with both demand side management and basis degradation. This is the cost. So what we can observe is with considering demand side management and without basis degradation, it seems to be the microgrid lifetime cost is low. So, but I said before is we have to consider battery degradation. But if you don't consider in the battery degradation, it seems like the total cost is less. But that is not true, because in the real time, the battery will be degraded. If you don't consider that, you may falsely interpret that you may reduce the cost, but in real time, the cost occurred may be much more higher. So that is given in this table. So sizing method with load shifting method. So we compared our method with a load shifting demand side management. So with the existing DSM, load shifting DSM, these are the size, and with our method, this is the size. And with our method, we can observe the cost is also reduced. So these are the power balance equations. So all these equations, all these results will show that our method is better than the other methods which are existing in the state of the art. And then we go with the dependability analysis. So far, what we have done with the historical data in all the cases. But when we commenced into the action, the load which will occur is different from the historical data. Hence, the accuracy of the algorithm should be verified with a different set of the load data. So for example, we consider different load data sets. We size the generators, but we simulated what will be the cost if we've taken a different load than what we have taken while simulation. So that also we considered. So in that data, we got that at most 1.51% from the historic value, it has been changed, microgrid lifetime cost. This is the summary. So a method for optimal sizing of microgrid with the demand size management is presented. The 4 important aspects of the sizing were integrated. So battery storage system also degradation is also taken into account in the sizing algorithm. So bi-level algorithm is developed. The lifetime is also evaluated based on the usage. The importance of each aspect is also explained by showing the results. Why we that by considering each and everything, we can reduce the cost. And also we compared that the presented algorithm is better than the sizing algorithm, which uses load shifting method. So with this, I will go with the third part, coordinate sizing of generators and load equipment for industrial process. So for many industrial loads, So the microgrid is becoming in-house. In-house means so they will have their industrial loads, and apart from that, they will have microgrid installed with them. For that kind of loads, demand side management is much easier to implement and a logical choice for improving economic of such industrial plants. So first we need to segregate the production process units. For in industry, there will be like production, parallel production. So this thing we have to segregate into units, and we have to classify those units as dynamic loads. So for example, we have like 10 parallel in production process. Each unit we have to segregate. So then we have to design this number plant capacity. Plant capacity means number of units we have to consider for industry, and energy sources in a coordination manner can maximize the benefit. So the same thing for cost analysis for what we have done before for microgrid sizing. For industry also same thing. We'll have total installation cost, which is sum of conventional generators, renewable generators, battery storage system, and apart from that we will have like production equipment in the industrial process. Everything is same. The only thing changes is we need to satisfy our industrial loads. So this is the power required by the industrial production process, and MP is the number of industrial production units are operating at a given time. So the total units can be limited by the number of units in the plant. At the end of the day, so the total demand on the plant, like for example, you have to produce 10,000 products, that has to be satisfied. But at whatever the time, how many products you can produce, that doesn't matter. The basic idea is, so in the morning, there will be more renewable energy. So if you size your plant such that for 12 units, so you use all the 12 units when there is more renewable energy. And you can turn off some of the units when there is no renewable energy. But at the end of the day, whatever the demand, that should be met. That was the core idea here. Same objective function and everything will be same, but extra we will have production equipment. So here we use an PSO algorithm. In PSO algorithm, we have to take a load profile, PSO parameters, and it is also like bi-level algorithm, so which is based on the iterations. Same thing, we have to check so whether the solution is feasible. If it is not feasible, we will go with a new particle. Like that, we will calculate the total power charging and discharging in the battery, and number of hours in the production unit work, and number of hours the diesel generator work. Then we will evaluate the lifetime cost, and for all the parameters we will calculate. So when all the parameters are calculated, then we will proceed to the next iteration, and we will update the velocities and particles. We will generate new particles. For that new particles, again we will solve in iterations. Whenever the iteration is less than the maximum number of iterations, we'll find the optimal solution. This is the case study we considered. We considered is an renewable PV panels, diesel generators, and an energy storage system. The industrial load, what we considered is reverse osmosis desalination plant. So in reverse osmosis desalination plant, we will have a high pressure pump. That is the important part. So it will pressurize high pressure through the membranes of the reverse osmosis. When it is present, we will get a brine water and we will get pure water, and the pure water will go to the post treatment. When the high pressure brine, so but it is like 900 psa, that much power they will use, but the end product will also have 800 psa. That is very useful energy which we should not waste, and we will use an energy recovery device. Okay, so that some part of the energy will be recovered, and by using it, some part of the feed water will be flown to this energy recovery device, so that we can use that energy, and we will use an booster pump, so that all the water again we will use some of the waste energy from the brain, so that we don't use the brain water energy. So this is the day we considered. I think excuse me, organizers. Hello. think time is running out, so I will go with the conclusion part. The necessity of the sizing algorithm for designing a microgrid with is discussed. The various aspects that need to be considered in the sizing algorithm is also considered. So to cover the shortcomings, what we discussed is an unit commitment with the demand side management, a sizing framework that can tackle the multiple aspects. The aspects which we have discussed, uh, optimal power balance strategy, demand side management, chance constraint programming, and microgrid lifetime degradations. All these are considered. A coordinate sizing method for systems with the production process are also presented. These are the things which we have presented. Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So the presentation is completed.
Okay, sir.
So
The session is open for queries. If anyone want to ask questions, you may ask now. Or else you can post the queries in the chat box. So just for 2 minutes, sir, if any queries were raised, I will share you the certain things, sir.
okay.
Dear participants, if any queries from your side, you may ask or post the queries in the chat box.
Yes, I had got a comment from the technical box, chat box. What are the technical challenges on microgrids? So the microgrids, first thing what we have to do is reliability. So we have to maintain the reliability at whatever time instant. So we have to always satisfy the load. So in that process, we can reduce our total cost of the microgrid. So that is one thing. And microgrid sizing planning, we have scheduling also. And if we implement dynamic loads into the microgrids, that way we can further reduce the cost. And also for microgrids, energy management is also there. So for so that we can manage our loads to better reduce the cost. And protection everywhere, almost whatever we can apply for power systems, that we can apply here. So if you are specific with the question, I can answer also.
Sir, what about the parameters in leaders, followers, such algorithms, sir?
So parameters, first thing what we have to take is data. So okay, in a particular place, for example, if you want to install a microgrid at your campus, we need to know what are the wind speeds at that area, and solar energy available at that area, and the load data. These are the three important things. And the next thing is what we need to consider is uh, the cost of the generators, different types of generators. This data also we need to acquire. Apart from that, generator characteristics also we should be known. And in
Not in terms of microgrid, sir, in terms of the algorithm itself. So what are the basic parameters that how to fix the constraint values for those parameters?
okay,
Limitations.
so I will go to that. I will present that later for algorithm.
Yes, sir.
So first we need to know parameters means what are the constraints we need to consider? You are asking, madam?
In terms of algorithm, sir, in terms of algorithm, not in terms of the problem what we have chosen. Basically, for algorithm, we will take certain parameters, right? In that constraint, what are the parameters to be chosen? If it is a genetic algorithm, we will go for the mutation rates, probability rates like that. For this
Yeah.
leader sizing algorithm, what are the parameters that has to be chosen?
So the parameters, what we can, I think for particle swamp optimization and APS, we need to consider particle velocities.
Yes, sir. Yes,
We
sir.
have to update this velocities, and it is based upon the size which we are going to consider. For example, uh, we are considering like in megawatt. Okay, generators in megawatt. This parameters alpha, beta, gamma. Actually, I forget what they call those parameters. These parameters we should consider based upon those variance on the sizes. For example, we have considered from 0 to 100,
Okay,
0
sir.
to 1000. There will be like a formula for that, how to consider that based upon the variance in the size, variance in the variables.
Okay.
Or you can simply like 10% of that. So you can consider based upon iterations, like 100 iterations if you consider. So
But for
0.9.
every time, the value is going to be varied, no, sir. For every time we go to the optimization techniques, the basic problem that what we are facing was the value won't be repeat again, right? So, is there any particular specific method that you have followed for this algorithm, sir?
So for our algorithm, what we did is we had taken 100 population data, okay, and
Okay.
we considered a zero parameters. Alpha is 0.95, and it has to be like reduced at each time instant. Okay,
Okay.
so at first the variance considered is 100, 10. Okay, so but it value has to be reduced at each time, as you said. So what we did is each time we multiplied with a factor like 0.9 or 0.85.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that factor will be updated at each time. At the end of the time, okay, the variance will be very small, that
Okay.
factor variance. So that the main thing is initially the difference, the search space will be wide. Okay, whatever the
Okay.
search space we are going to choose, it should be wide. So for example, if you take like 160 like that, you have data. Okay, so it can vary from like 60 to 80 initially. Okay,
Okay.
so but as the iterations progress, at the final instant, it can vary like 60. If it's the value settled at 60 at the 98th iteration, at the 91st iteration, 99th iteration, it should go to like 59 only, like 59.5 or 59.8. That way, you have to choose your parameters.
Okay, sir. Sir, is this useful for linear problems or we can go for dynamic also, sir? This particular algorithm application.
So this algorithm particularly is applied for like whenever you have mixed integer nonlinear programming.
Oh, non-linear.
Nonlinear programming. It is because it is very difficult to solve those problems.
Okay.
So that way you have to uh, reduce the size of the algorithm. Sorry, you have to like divide into bi-level algorithms.
So we
So
have to break up the equation that what we are framing.
yeah. We have to
Then,
break up the equation.
okay, sir.
So the where I face the problem is my problem is very big. As we see, we have a lot of cost equations and constraints. Okay, there are
It comes to
solvable
the
gaps.
problem, there's numerous constraints to frame it.
So
But
so
this algorithm is new for me. That's why I have asked these questions.
sir,
Thank you, sir.
madam, actually, your voice not clear in the previous statements. Can you repeat
This
again?
algorithm was new for me, so that's why I have asked these questions.
So
Thank
the
you, sir.
basic thing is it's MINLP. Okay, it
Okay.
is very difficult to solve in single step. So
Okay.
what we did is whatever the variables which is giving a non-linearity, we want to make it linear.
Okay, sir.
Those variables we have given in the stage 1.
Okay. Okay.
So which is giving non-linearity.
Okay, sir.
And then, so once you fix those variables, the rest of the problem becomes MILP, mixed integer linear programming.
Programming.
So that way it is easy to solve. But the
Okay,
thing
sir.
is here, the time will be increased. You have to do in iterations.
Okay, okay.
But in the end, you will find optimal solution. But if you go
What?
MINLP, large size directly, some solvers will
Okay.
can't solve it.
What about computational time, sir?
So each for us, it take almost 2 days with i5 processor, 4 GB
Okay.
RAM, 4 GB RAM.
Great, sir. Oh, okay, sir.
So
Okay, sir.
that's why we have to break and all.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Sir, there are two more questions in the chat box. Can you please suggest key issues in demand response and load shedding operations? What is the difference between power mismatched operation, power matched operation? And key issues in demand response and load shedding operations. What is exploration and exploitation regarding optimization techniques?
The difference between mismatch operation and power matched operation. So I think I can stop presentation. So this Krishna Reddy sir, what is exploration and exploitation regarding optimization techniques? So this exploration exploitation is there in only in meta heuristic algorithms. So exploration is for searching in the wide space. It will go for exploration will go for wide space, wide range. If you want to search in wide area, that is go for exploration. And exploitation is we have some data from the previous iteration in a meta heuristic algorithm. Based on data, we will explore the next solution. The main difference between in all the algorithms, in all the meta heuristic algorithms, is exploration and exploitation only. The way they do exploration and exploitation. So the key issues in demand response and load shedding operations. So the key issues is the most important thing is we need to operate we need to schedule our dynamic loads such that the total cost is reduced. The way we do differs. We have direct load control methods, and based upon the time of price, that is also we have there. And load shedding operations, it is like bit complicated, because if you schedule load for a customer, he may be disappointed. But if you give benefits at that time, so for example, if you curtail your load, schedule load, you may get extra money. That way we can make them into participate into the load shedding operations. So
Sir, what is the difference between power mismatched operation and power matched operation?
yeah.
Hello?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So power mismatched operation and power matched operation.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So actually, it's a long time. So, but as I remember, in power mismatched operation, so the power balance equation will be like it's inequality constraint. It may be inequality constraint. The total power generated can be greater than the total load. And in a power matched operation, the total power generated must be always equals to the load. That's what I remember. But if I can give you my mail ID, can you give your mail ID? I can answer that question. Krishna Reddy, sir.
Sir, I will share your mail ID to Krishna, sir.
Okay.
Then he may approach you directly, sir.
Okay.
I will share your mail ID because I am having your mail ID. I will share the details with the audience and then.
Okay.
Yes, sir. So, is there any queries? The session is open to all the audience. If you can ask the sir directly the questions. And the feedback link has been shared here, and please submit the things. Raja sir, Krishna Reddy sir has given his mail ID here, krishnareddy.yv@svcollege.edu.in.
Okay.
All the participants are requested to submit your feedback link. It is mandatory for your certificate requirement. So this sir. So just a minute, sir. I'll ask our HOD sir to.
Okay.